Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, and this is your daily news. Markets are freaking out today because we had some surprising job data, and also too, we have some really interesting news regarding Russia and China. So let's just jump right in. Headline, stocks post broad losses after strong economic data. And you're like, okay, what's the data? Well, private sector companies added 497,000 jobs in June, and that was double the estimate/expectation. So this is coming from the ADP report. So I guess the estimate was 220,000 jobs were going to be added in the private sector, and 497 is a massive jump. And then in May, in comparison, it was 267,000. So this is well above estimates. And these jobs are 232,000 were new hires in leisure and hospitality, 97,000 in construction, and you have 97,000 in trade, transportation, and utilities. And I was thinking about this with the leisure and hospitality thing because, as you go through some of the headlines, like for example, U.S. borrowing costs at 16-year high as markets unsettled by jobs data. And you see these signs, we're hiring, starting at $15.95 an hour. And last time we were in the USA, you see signs everywhere for this kind of stuff, $15-20 an hour. And I was thinking about this where the jobs are being added in leisure and hospitality. And it's something that people don't talk about enough. In these kind of places, be it hotels or restaurants, they use a lot of cheap immigrant labor. That is a thing. And when immigration slows, say during the pandemic, and you couldn't get anyone to work. So there's two things. One, you're paying Americans to basically sit at home and not work. You also were closing down places. And then you're also cutting off immigration. So all these things happened, sort of created a smaller pool of people willing to come work at the restaurants, and wages went up. And I still think we have a shortage of workers in these kind of positions. And something I've always said, several times, regardless of what you think about, illegal immigration, this kind of stuff, is that when you get a bunch of cheap workers, it creates cheap products and, cheap food, et cetera, be it the farms or anything. So I think this is something that people don't talk about enough. It's just part of the, basic math. And this is something too that has been a real thing in Brexit when they basically cut themselves off from Europe. They've had, skyrocketing inflation over there. So we'll see what happens in USA. I just wanted to mention that because I was thinking about, how when they're adding jobs and these kind of things, but, you have to pay people more money these days. It just drives the price up of everything. And so, as according to this article, it's kind of funny why the latest job data is worst case scenario for the stock. Well, they say it's funny because I didn't necessarily expect this strong of jobs data, but I have thought it's been really odd that the market's been running up like crazy and interest rates are really high. But the saying goes is markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? So markets be crazy. And you can look at the 2-year treasury. It's spiking above 5, and it's, like I said, the highest since 2007. So one of the things that if you look at the treasury yields here, the bonds, you can see that the 12-month is 5.41, 6-month 5.47, 3-month 5.35, and then the 2 years is right around 5 is what we talked about. And even you want to get a 30-year at 4. Now, one of the things that was interesting, I was looking at this, mortgage rates are also really high. Highest this year. Freddie Mac was saying that the average 30-year mortgage is like 6.81, so we're approaching 7%. And I've been seeing that housing costs are still high. I think rents are coming down, but until and this is something that George in the comments have been saying, and George, I do read everyone's comments, but I do agree. Until housing costs come to affordable levels, I think things are going to be tough for a lot of people. Because one of the things that we've talked about before on the channel, when you look at like an inflation read and it says, hey, for example, food and energy is up, but, televisions are coming down, and I don't know, we'll say furniture is coming down, right? But the thing is, like, I don't buy furniture and televisions every day, whereas I go to the, restaurants or go to the grocery store, and it seems like food is still expensive. And I'm going to tell you guys here in Korea, they raise the rates of electricity everywhere. So this is sort of, causing a lot of, we're saying, change in spending habits, or you're not going to just run AC all day, every day when things cost more. So I think these kind of things weigh on the consumer. But there was an interesting report. I don't have the article here, but I'll just tell you there was an interesting report. It was yesterday I saw where people are still buying cars, which essentially was pent up demand. But there comes a point where the people's buying power isn't there. The other thing too that's going on is Yellen's heading out to China trying to get some deal. Essentially, both China and USA are struggling in different ways. China is struggling more than US. They got a shrinking population and they got slowing growth. It's no longer that double-digit growth as we think. And essentially this all boils down to, for companies and people to make money, you got to sell stuff to other people. So that requires people to, one, have money, and then also two, to sort of have these sort of systems in place so that you're able to trade. So we'll see what they do here. Don't expect much of this stuff, but it could be just for show. One of the things that, and if you guys may not know, I used to teach at Tsinghua University, which is the top school in China. And many Chinese presidents, including the current one, President Xi, went to Tsinghua. I mentioned that is because one of the big things if you live in China and you want to be successful is you have to kiss the ring. How busy, kiss up to leadership, kiss the ring, right? Kiss the king's ring. And it's interesting because like Zuckerberg, I guess he's trying to sell his Quest goggles there, but the government's like kind of putting out bad stories about him, etc. Whereas to Elon Musk's credit, he does kiss the ring, and it depends how you want to take it, right? Is it good that he's kissing the ring of of China, which is authoritarian, it censors free speech, etc. And this is sort of why I always call out the people who are Musk fanboys and fangirls, say, oh, Musk loves free speech. It's like, can you read? He's always kissing up to the Chinese government. So here he's just telling that China's going to be so great in AI, and he's always doing some other. Because he's a business person, right? He has to kiss the ring to sell stuff to China. So this idea that he's all about free speech but never talks bad things about China, come on. It's just be real, guys. And it is what it is. And moreover, this is also related to that. It's very interesting. You read the headlines here on this one. Over a dozen EV makers, including Tesla and NIO, pledged to avoid price wars in China. So, and it's funny because when people ask what's it like to live in China, this is a great example of it, to where essentially the big companies can all just agree to have whatever pact or oligopolies or whatever they want, right? And they can't really do anything as a regular consumer. And so I thought this was pretty fascinating, where there's no way companies could do this in the USA. For example, there was a time when the cereal company said, we're just going to keep the prices high. And if someone wants to buy cereal, so be it, meaning that, we only got two choices. Was it Kellogg's or was it Post is the other one? And this idea that, we're not going to have any competition and we're going to not do price wars is so ridiculous. It's so anti-capitalist. I guess, okay, how about this? It's anti-free market, but very pro-capitalist. This is a way to think about it because it's capitalist in the sense that, companies are making money off consumers, etc. And part of the thing that was interesting, that I guess there's 16 of these automakers. There's a bunch on here that aren't so popular on YouTube. The popular ones, obviously, you have to talk about Tesla, but no one ever talks about BYD because you can't buy the stock so easily, even though Warren Buffett did. Because essentially the way this game is played is you want to, if you want to be popular on YouTube, just pitch him NIO all day or XPeng or whatever market or whatever, ADR is being traded on the US market. It'll be popular on YouTube. And so this is a chart just showing how some of these companies have really been doing heavy discounts, like this one near Dongfeng and Fourth Thing, or it should be Fourth Thing. I don't know. I don't know this company, Fourth Thing, to be really frank. But they've been cutting prices, you can see, by 35%, et cetera. And so the price war thing is actually really interesting. Whether or not anyone, adheres to the rules is anyone's guess. But this is the rules that they and I call it peace talks, have adhered to. So again, this is it's people can do what they decide to want to do in terms of companies, but this is what they've signed evidently. Adhere to industry rules and regulations. Regulate marketing activities, maintain fair competition, and not disrupt fair competition with abnormal pricing. That's pretty funny, abnormal pricing. And that might be a hit against Tesla, because Tesla does weird crap, like lower prices, then raise them, and then lower them, etc. Pay attention to marketing and publicity methods. Not exaggerate or use false publicity to attract attention or gain new customers. Put quality first. Improve lives with high-quality products and services. Promote core socialistic values. Actively fulfill social responsibilities. And take on heavy responsibility to maintain steady growth, strengthening confidence, and preventing risk. So these are part of the details of this. Essentially, let's not do a price war thing. I, I just laugh because I think a lot of this stuff is just for show. And if you wonder what, say, regular Chinese people think about Tesla, Chinese people tend to prefer foreign brands. That's been a thing for a long time. However, what the Chinese government can always do is just tax very, very heavily foreign products, and so you have to pay a premium if you want things, and it gives their local products more chance to compete. I think Tesla does very well in China, but the economy is slowing, and so we'll see what happens with this. I just think it's really funny whether or not they're going to do a truce in the price war or not. Moving on to Russia, there's some really interesting news coming out there. So I saw this one the other day. It was really obvious from the picture. This is Putin, and he was celebrating. He's like kissing this young girl. It's a little bit odd. Not a little bit. It's a very odd. So just think about this. Putin's like 70 or something. I can look at his age, but I know he's old. But just running around kissing strangers is not so great. So I wouldn't really want Putin kissing my wife, daughter, aunt, mom, whatever. Right? It's a bit odd. So that's. And they even say he was celebrating taking selfies, kissing regular Russians. The reason why I mentioned that is the guy who was the Wagner guy. I was a Prigozhin who was trying to say overthrow Putin or just remove him. I guess he went back to Russia to collect money and guns. That's what it says. And the thing is though, with any of these kinds of news, always take it with a grain of salt, because I me personally, I can't confirm anything where this guy is or what's he doing. I am just waiting to hear news that he fell out the window, something like that. I think that will be a thing. But there has been a really interesting news regarding it. I guess the media over in Russia, they released some pictures of his house. Now, whether or not this is real, who knows? But for just looking at it, it seems plausible. And I'd like to get your thoughts if you guys think it's real or not. So this supposedly is his house. He's got a piano in there. He's got this nice staircase. And you can see here, he's going to have money. I mean, he is running this, mercenary billion, I think it's like 20 billion or something like that. It's like big money operation. Look at this furniture, it's like really nice. And this is the kind of lifestyle you lead when you are having a private army, essentially. You got a bunch of guns in his house. And again, I can't confirm any of this stuff, and these must be ammunition. He's also got a bunch of gold bars and dollars, which is actually really interesting. You guys can see that there's a gold and there's a dollar. So if you are curious, when in doubt in the end of the world, this is the kind of what you want. You want guns and you want dollars and gold. So so that's why he went home. And I guess this is the outside of the house. Looks like this. As I mentioned, basically, and there's this helicopter there. You can see that, and then he's got like this private pool, etc. So. And a slide into the pool, which is really funny. I don't know. I can't confirm if this is his real house or not. I can't confirm if he's in Russia, but I'm just showing you guys the headlines, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm just, like I said, I think it's pretty tough to go against Putin and survive. I think we read a quote before the other time is like, when you take a shot at the king, you better make sure you hit, right? You can't go. You can't fail at that, because you're a marked man now. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts on any one of these stories, be it Russia, China, or the markets. Always appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next video.